Hello, mindful friends. Today we're going to be talking about how we can use mindfulness to support us on those days that we feel a little extra cranky or moody. And when these kind of lower moods make everything we do in the day feel a little bit harder and like there's a little more resistance and we're a little closer to our trigger points. And I am speaking about this today because I've had a lot of these days recently at the end here in my last little month of pregnancy, and you're uncomfortable, right? We all have those days where the discomforts within us can create cranky moods outwardly. We have a little bit of a headache. We've been in pain for a little while. We've had extra obligations to deal with. We're extra busy. And those kind of outside external circumstances can generate internal moodiness or an internal state that's not quite so peaceful and settled. And so what do we do when this happens to us and we know we don't want to bring this out into the world and project it onto everyone around us? We don't want to act like cranky people. We don't want to hurt others. So what do we do with these emotions that are within us and very real and creating this experience that we're having in everyday life, and be with them without judgment, but also without feeding them and allowing them to compound and creating reactions within us that make things even more difficult and tumultuous in the world around us. So there's this healthy balance of allowing them to be here, being present for them, not fighting with them, and at the same time making sure we're nurturing and taking care so that we're not reacting too much to the world around us in this cranky energy, making things even harder. So the very first thing we want to do is just to name it. Just recognize, just be honest. We don't have to hide the fact that we're a little cranky today. We don't have to hide it from ourselves or from others. And sometimes I just make a point. I say it out loud to myself. Wow, I'm cranky today. Or I say it to my husband, I'm feeling a little grouchy. Or I tell my dog, but let it be known, let it be there, let it have its place. And in that recognizing or naming, I try to stay judgmental free. So this means I try not to bring in this feeling of I shouldn't be feeling this way, or guilt or shame that I do feel this way, because it's here. It's a part of my experience today. I don't want to send a second arrow to hurt myself by judging the fact that it's here today, or by trying to resist it or push it away. That just compounds the agitation within me. It compounds the bad feelings, and it creates an even more negative relationship to self. So I try to look at it with compassion. Hey, you're cranky. Something must be going on. It's okay that it's here. Let it just have its experience, right? So there's this too belongs. It's a part of my day. And how am I going to be present for it in ways that don't make it go away, but support it a little bit, support me within it, which comes to this kind of using mindfulness to understand I name the fact I'm cranky, and I need to understand what that's going to bring for my day, in each present moment. And I recognize the way that internal state, that crankiness, affects how I'm looking at situations, at people, at things in my life. And when that comes up, creating more agitation in me because I'm a little extra irritated at what somebody says, I like to use that understanding to say, oh, hello, crankiness. Like, here you are putting this lens on this experience right now. Here you are kind of altering the way I'm seeing this. And so I use that understanding to say, well, this situation probably isn't as bad or isn't as irritating as it feels right now. So it's like this understanding that helps us kind of separate and see the lens through which we're seeing the world. So we admit this is a little extra irritating today. That could be this extra crankiness. And this helps us to kind of separate a little bit more from the situation instead of engaging in it and like compounding it even worse. Like, oh, life really is this bad today. This person really is this irritating, awful person, and labeling them as that, as, ultimate truth, or as like that's who they really are. It's good to kind of look at it like, well, it feels true right now, but there's this extra layer of cranky making that feel more true to me today. So it kind of takes off the edge a little bit and gives you this other perspective, brings in that understanding so we know how the internal crankiness is affecting our external experience. And then we bring in this understanding of stories this crankiness might be bringing into our reality. So when I'm extra cranky or I have that irritated state inside, I'm probably telling different stories about what things mean, how long they're going to last, how they're going to affect my future. They might be like this forever if I'm like feeling cranky and really detrimental. So I'm watching and understanding the stories this is bringing up. And these stories can create more fear, more agitation. And so if we're aware of them and we stop feeding them, so we can like see them but not reinforce them, not believe them and continue telling them. That helps us to recognize our mental state and the way we're projecting this cranky mood right now onto the future or onto these kind of all-encompassing pictures of what reality is. Like, this is how it's going to be forever, or this is what it means, or this is how it's going to affect things. So we stop telling that story. And sometimes just this awareness and this understanding is enough. We make it through the day using this understanding, not letting the cranky take over and not feeding into its narrative about our lives and our situation. But if we want to take it a little further into nurturing, we can, if we have the time and space, take a step back from our day and intentionally, with the intention to nurture and take care of, just look at where's this cranky coming from? What do you need right now? What feels threatened or vulnerable? What would feel supportive? And in the way that in little ways we could nurture ourselves, maybe take on a little less if it feels like it's coming from overwhelm. Maybe give ourselves a moment to have tea on the porch if it feels like it's coming from having too many duties or feeling like we owe too much to other people. But as you're looking into that, you're saying, you know, what's the real source of this crankiness that might point to something I'm needing for myself, that I need to nurture? And that's where we bring in those supports and resources that could help us not feel so fearful or threatened or vulnerable or tired, that those typically tend to be the root of these cranky experiences. So, you know, for me, that with this pregnancy, and I know the crankiness comes from all the discomfort that I feel in this, that I'm rarely comfortable. My feet are swelling and turning purple. You know, you have these belly aches. And so there's a lot of compassion in your cranky, and you say, I know where you're coming from. How can I support you in this? And we need a little extra self-care on those days. So, you know, take time through the day to put your feet up, take a break, even in simple words to self of I care that you're going through this, I care that this is hard, I'm here to support you. So you're talking to yourself in ways that are supportive rather than adding to the judgment of it. And all of this kind of compassion and awareness helps to take off the edge of the cranky and helps the cranky not feel so alone and not feel maybe even like have such an edge that it feels so needed to be there to make us pay attention. So I invite you this week, if you have a cranky day, try to use your mindfulness to be with it, don't judge it, and give it a little compassion so that it doesn't end up being what runs your life on that day. If you enjoy these teachings and would like to join us for group classes or individual coaching, you can find us at newleafmindfulness.com. You can find these teachings and many more in both of my books, Living from the Heart and Healing Mindfully. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I hope to see you all very soon.